It's Kids Sunday. Welcome, everybody. We've got lots of kids. I wish anybody who's watching online, I wish you could be here. There's lots of excitement. The kids are all here, and we're so glad to see you. So glad to see you. Do you know that we've been working for about a month at trying to figure out how we can get our kids back at church? And we did it today. Do you know that Simon, the first thing he said when he woke up this morning, he looked at me and he said, I am so excited about being back at church with all the kids. So that this is really important. So we've been doing all this. How much did it cost you to get in today, Judah? How much did you pay to come to the church, kids' church service today? Harrison, how much did it cost you to come to the church service today? How much? How much did you pay? No, not how much would you pay. How much did we charge you to get in this morning? Oh, who else can I ask? Kyla, how much did you pay to get in this morning? Nothing? Zero. You paid nothing to come in this morning. But you know what? For a long time, Emily's been working really hard at planning this. And she spent her money probably and her time and her gas and all kinds of things to prepare for this. Do you know Simon's been working really hard for the last little while to try to find a good talk for you to listen to today? Do you know Mike and Amy, his wife, who's Zach's sick today, so she couldn't come, but that they've been working, trying to get ready for this, just wanting to do this. Do you know, I was going around getting balloons, and there's treat bags at the end. Treat bags. Woohoo! Yeah, so doing all that. You know, Christy's been working here with Emily too, trying to figure it out. We've been trying to remake the sanctuary here. Why did we do this? Because we love you. And we didn't charge you because we love you, because it's free. It's free, but it costs somebody else in order for you to be here. So it's because we love you that it's free. Okay. I've got two announcements before we just get going. Just two announcements. And one is for the youth. This Wednesday night at Calendar Bay Church, our youth in the Calendar Bay Church, we're going to have a kickoff to youth group. It's going to be at 6:15. It's going to be a barbecue. And guess what? It's free. Why? Why is it free? Because we love them. We want to do this. We love this. It's going to cost us, but we love them. So it's free because we want to share with them the good news that we've heard about what Jesus can do in our lives if we follow him. So that's at what time is it? 6:15. What time is it, youth? 6:15. What do you need to bring? Nothing, because it's free and a good attitude. That's right. All right. And the second announcement is women. This Saturday coming up, this Saturday afternoon, we're having our little mini retreat. Normally we go away for a few days, but we're just going to have a little mini retreat in my yard. It's going to be Western theme. Hee-haw! Get along, little doggy. And we're supposed to come dressed in your Western attire, and you need to bring a chair, and $10. It's not free. Why? We don't love you. No, we love you, but we're just trying to take some of the cost down, so it's going to be $10. I need to know today who's coming, so let me know about that. All right, I thought just before we began officially, let's just pray together. So, boys and girls, when we pray, we sometimes bow our head and we close our eyes and we put our hands together sometimes just to keep us from being distracted. So I want to see, I'm going to count to 1, 2, 3, and everybody's going to clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. And then you're going to bow your head and you can close your eyes and you're going to repeat after me because we're going to pray together. Okay, here we go, and that's everybody. We're all going to pray together. Here we go. Dear God, we love you. Thank you for letting us be together today. Help us to listen to you this morning so we can get to know you better. And everybody said together, amen. Mike is going to come up and we're going to sing. Everybody stand up. Let the party.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Morning, kids. So you all got a high five stick this morning when you came in, right? Can you find that you can greet your friends with this? So you guys can have 5 seconds to go and see if you can greet 3 people. Okay, so all you do, you just go and you say high five and you tap the ends of your stick together. Go say some good morning to some friends. Isn't it great to see our friends here today? Just high five gentle. Oh, you guys are great. That's so nice to see you guys. All right, Judah. All right, thank you guys. That was wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to take my stick now and I'm going to put it down. And maybe after, at the end of the service, when you're leaving, you can say high five or a goodbye, right? At that point to your friends again. Who drove here this morning? Who got in a car or a van and drove? Most of you, right? You drove here. I think maybe the neighbors walked here. Yeah, you guys walked. Where's the neighbors? I'm looking around. Over there's some neighbors that walked. And who came from North Bay? Most of you. A lot of the kids came from North Bay. Who came from Corbeil? I came from Corbeil. There's a couple that came from Corbeil. How about Bonfield? No, Astorville. Yeah, did you guys come from Astorville? So we all came from different communities, right, to come here this morning. Callender Bay? Some came from Callender. Yeah, came from Astorville. So everybody came from surrounding villages to come here, right? But we came in a car or a van or maybe a truck, and some walked, but most of us drove here. But imagine that you came and you walked. You had heard that there was somebody that you really, really, really wanted to see. And you just heard at the last minute. So your parents said, let's go. Somebody is coming and let's go see them. And you guys took off from your house and you ran to go see. And you got to where you were coming, outside, not inside this nice building. But there were 5,000 people there. Can you guys imagine 5,000 people? Has anyone ever been to Memorial Gardens where they play hockey? Or maybe you saw a band there. That's close to 5,000 people. So we have about, I don't know the final count, 60 people, 70 people here this morning. So 5,000 people would be a lot more than that, wouldn't it? A lot more? Do you think maybe like twice as many? Maybe 100 times as many. That's a lot of people, right? So the story that I'm thinking of in the Bible, do you guys know what it is? It was the feeding of the 5,000. So this story, this account of Jesus' life took place in 4 of the Gospels. And the people, they did that. They had heard that Jesus was coming, and they all went to the surrounding countryside. And this is distracting me. And they all ran off to go to this countryside to see Jesus because they had heard that he was coming. But Jesus had a really busy week. His disciples had gone off and they were doing miracles. Can anybody think of a miracle that Jesus and his disciples did? Anybody think of a miracle? What's a miracle? What kind of things did Jesus do when he was on earth? I see the high five hands, but I don't see anybody. Oh, over here. What kind of miracles did Jesus do? He healed people? That's right. So people were sick and he healed them. Harrison, do you have an answer for me, or you're just holding that up? You're just holding it up? So what kind of things did he heal people of? Maybe they were sick, their stomachs were sick, and he healed them. Some people they couldn't see, and what did he do? What did he do? Yeah? That's right. He healed the blind man. He made it so that they could see again, didn't he? But he wasn't just healing people. Did you have one too? No. He wasn't just healing. Yeah, did you have one? That's right. Do you guys remember the story of somebody who couldn't walk, and Jesus made it so his legs were better and stronger, and that man could walk again? And Jesus did these amazing things, and people wanted to go see him because of these things that he was doing, but he also said amazing things. What kind of things did Jesus say? What did Jesus tell the people about God? Do you guys remember? What did Jesus say about God, how God felt about the people? Did he? He loved them. That's right. And he said that Jesus came to earth to tell people that he was there to forgive sins and to take care of them and to not just give them to heal their physical bodies, but also to heal their souls so that they could be forgiven for what they had done. So all these people, they came to the countryside and they walked there. They didn't have a car to just drive back to the closest city, but they walked there to hear Jesus. And what happens after you've been somewhere for a long time? Probably at about noon when you guys go home, you're going to start to feel something in your tummies. What do you start to feel when you leave church? You're usually a little bit hungry, right? Does anybody start to get hungry when they leave church? So you've been somewhere, maybe you've been walking, and all of a sudden you're so hungry. Well, Jesus' disciples knew that was going to happen, and they were hungry, and they were worried because nobody had food. So they said, Jesus, nobody here has food. What are we going to do? Maybe you should send them to the closest village to go and buy some food. Do you think Jesus said, good idea? You guys probably know this story. That would be a good idea, right? Like, let's shut this down and let's send people home because they have a long way to walk and they need food. But Jesus didn't say that. He said, why don't you feed them? So let's think about that right now. Even in this room of 60 people, it would be a lot of food just to feed us, wouldn't it? Like, have you guys seen the potluck here where we have all of the tables lined up in that room? That's a lot of food just for 100 people, let alone 5,000 people. So when Jesus said, why don't you feed them? The disciples started doing the math. And they're like, that would take half a year's wages just to feed these people. But Jesus didn't say, okay, go buy it. He said, well, what do you have? And they looked around. Well, we don't have anything. We don't know who the child is. But a child said, I have my lunch. Just like maybe Avery has a lunch that she can share. So this child came up and offered their food. One child in this room came, or in the building, this area of 5,000 people had a lunch. So how much do you think would be in this food, in a lunch bag? Do you guys take a lunch bag like this to school with you? Yeah, maybe even a bit bigger? Yeah. So, and who does that feed? Just yourself. That doesn't feed 5 people. It doesn't feed 10 people. It doesn't feed 5,000 people. This is food for one person. But Jesus asked what they had, so they said, well, this child has a lunch, and it probably wasn't in a nice bag like this. Probably wasn't even in a brown paper bag, but that was the closest thing I could find. So what kind of food do you think? You guys bring your sandwiches, or what do you bring to lunch when you go to school? I couldn't hear that. Is it a sandwich? Carrots? Yeah? And I used to always bring a sandwich when I went to school. What do you bring? Gummies, yes. Oh, and I would have my favorite would have been a chocolate chip cookie. Chocolate chip cookies. Maybe an apple. Maybe you bring some noodles or a granola bar. But that's not what this boy had in his lunch. He had a little loaf of bread. But not just one. He had, you bring cucumbers to lunch? You'd think this boy would have had cucumbers, because in Israel, they have some good, fresh vegetables there, but he didn't. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loaves. So he had 5 loaves, and that wasn't it. What else do you think he had? Cucumbers. I wish he had cucumbers. That would have been good. What do these look like? Fish. He had 2 fish. Yeah. I hope these aren't cucumbers, because if they are, something bad happened to them. So looking at that food, how much do you think that would feed? Maybe if you had gone out and you were with a friend, maybe you could separate this and you would both still feel fairly full, right? So think about your lunch. Hold your hand and think about putting your lunch into your hands. Think about those things that you bring to school with you, your cucumbers, your carrots, your sandwich maybe, or noodles, an apple. So think about those things. And now try to picture, how many people could you share that with? Could you share that with your mom? Yeah, and then you would both still feel fairly full, right? Like you would be good. That would be good for the day. What about if you then split it again and you shared it with your dad? Or your brothers and sisters, and now you're still sharing it. What if you shared that with 10 people? You wouldn't feel full, would you? So say you split it, and then you split it again, and you split it again. Now you all have now maybe you have this much food to eat, right? That's not very much food, but still that's some food. But what if there was a group and the leader was looking for some food? He was looking for something to share with the big group, and you said, well, here's my lunch. How much do you get then if you give it to the leader? If you hand it over to the leader, how much food do you have left? You have nothing left, right? And that's what this boy did. He trusted that if he gave his lunch to Jesus, that Jesus would take care of what was happening. So he gave his lunch to Jesus and said, you can have my lunch and you can share it with these people. So Jesus took that food that the boy had given him and he told the disciples, go and have everybody sit down. So just like you guys are sitting down, said have them sit in groups of 50. So one group would have been about the size of you guys that are here today. And he took that bread and he held it up to heaven. And what do you think he said? What do you think Jesus said when he was holding the bread up? He was talking to God now. What do you guys say before you eat? He said, yeah? He said a prayer? Yeah? So he said thank you. He took that bread and he broke the bread and then he gave it to his disciples. And we don't know how it all worked because 5,000 people is a lot of people. But his disciples took that bread that he handed them and they went around and gave food to everybody there. This food fed 5,000 people. And not only did that feed the 5,000 people, it says when everybody had had their enough, when they were full, the disciples went around and each disciple got one basket full of leftovers. So just like Chad, pretend that this is one of the 12 baskets. So one boy or one child gave their lunch, and at the end, there were 12 basketfuls full of leftovers after feeding 5,000 people. That's pretty amazing, eh? Yeah, it's very amazing. And that was a miracle. One boy said, you can have what I have, trusting that Jesus would take care of him. And then there was all this food. Everybody was full, and everybody had enough to eat. So Simon's going to continue the rest of the story later. I know sometimes in Sunday school, that's where the story would finish, right? But Simon's going to finish the rest of the story, but first we're going to sing another song. Thank you guys for listening.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your
Kids, I want to get you to get your high five and find 3 more friends that you could say good morning to. Go on, take 30 seconds. Go say hi to everybody. Okay. That's good. That's really good. So first of all, we want to say thank you to Emily for telling us the beginning of the story. Now, kids, I want you to put your high five under your chair. Jason, can you show everybody how to put it right under your chair? And I want you all to look at me. Okay? That's right. I can see Avery. I can see Riley. I can see Ryder. Good. I can see Caitlin and Paige. Oh, there's Brandon. Good. Gracie, how you doing? Harrison. Oh, I can see you all. Matt, I can see you for sure. Okay. You know that Emily told us a story, and I just want to make sure that you know one thing, that when somebody is telling you a story, it's not just made up. It's in God's Word. It's in the Bible. And God has given this to us so we can have an amazing life because we want to know Him. Now, I need everybody to do something. I want you to use your imagination. Kyla, can you imagine that you were on that big hill a long time ago? Judah, you were there, and there were so many people, and you were so hungry. And what Emily said was absolutely true. That little boy brought his lunch. So I want everybody to pretend that you're that little guy giving your lunch. Everybody, adults too, everybody, come on, lift up your hands. Come on, Craig, lift up your hands, man. Do it for your kids. There you go. Come on, lift up your hands. Say, Jesus, I'm giving you everything I've got. That's good. Good. Even Echo's doing it. Echo, thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, like Emily said, the rest of the story. Because you know what happened on the very next day, Judah? You know what happened? The very next day, the people started following Jesus. They knew that he left that big hillside, but Jesus went across around a lake, and they thought, if we are where Jesus is, we'll never have to cook again. Because every day Jesus is going to give us free food. How does that sound? Yeah. So they were all following him. Like Emily said, they came from all the different villages all over the place. And Jesus saw them coming again. And this is when he told them about the greatest miracle ever. And this is what he said. He said, guys, I want you to listen up. He said, don't just work for the food that you put in your mouth. I've got something better for you. And then he said this. He said, I am the bread of life. And they're all like, what? The bread of life? What's the bread of life? They didn't know what he was talking about. So I'm wondering if we could figure it out. Do you think we could figure out what the bread of life is? I think we could. So I got a question for you. Have you ever wanted something, Paige, have you ever wanted something that you couldn't eat? How many people have wanted pizza? Yes. Craig, you're lying again. Look at that. He's sitting right there. I know he's wanted pizza. You know, and because you can eat pizza. It tastes great. But I remember when I was a little boy and I didn't have my own bike. Jaden and I didn't have my own bike. You know, and I had older brothers, so I just got their bikes and they were all scratched up and they were rusty. And then one day I got my own bike and I really, really wanted that bike. But I have a question. Could I eat my bike? No, I couldn't eat my bike. So let me ask you, how many people have ever wanted a really good friend? Anybody? How many people have wanted a really good friend? Yeah. You wanted a really good friend, but can you eat your friend? No, you can't. Okay, what about this one? How many people have ever wanted a really good game or a favorite toy? How many people have wanted that? Yeah, but can you eat your game? No. Okay, what about this one? How many people have ever really wanted to go to their favorite place? Maybe go to the beach with your friends and go swimming and play in the sand. How many people, Rob, you've wanted that, yeah. How many people have wanted that? But can you eat the sand? No. Because Jesus was teaching the people. He was teaching them that you can want things that are good things that aren't food. And he was saying this, and this is the most important thing. I want you to know this, that God, Kyla, you know what? That God has put inside you and Maddie and Avery. God has put inside every single person the desire to want him. To want Jesus more than anything. And that's what Jesus was saying. He said, if you really want to have a great life, I want you to want me more than anything. So here, let's practice our action. Everybody, hands together. Everybody, hands together. Okay, you got your hands together. Micah's got it. Good. Excellent. Okay, let's lift up our hands. Okay, let's put them right up there. And we're remembering how that little boy gave his 5 loaves and 2 fish. That's it. Hold it up there. He gave it to Jesus. But now I want you to think about this. Is it possible? We're going to do it. Put your hands down. Now we're going to do it one more time. Is it possible to do this? To say, Jesus, I give you my life. I give you me. I give you everything about me because I love you more than anything. Do you think that's possible? It is possible. Now, we got a little problem. Nobody likes problems, but I got to tell you about a problem, and I'm going to tell you the solution to the problem, the answer. The problem is there's some things in my life, and maybe you know about this too, there's some things in your life that you don't feel you can give to Jesus, and we call those things sin, right? So you're going to help me with this, and if you don't know what sin is, this is a simple way of understanding. I want you to do this with me. Kids, help me out, because a lot of the adults don't know this, so we're going to help them understand. Kids, I want every child to stand up right now, please. Every kid stand up, and I want you to help me, because we're going to teach the adults what sin is. Kyla, you got to need both hands, so you got to put your little high five down. Okay, ready? Sin is anything we think, say, or do that breaks God's law or makes him sad. Let's try it again. Ready? We're going to try it 2 more times. Here we go. Ready? Sin is anything, say it with me. Sin is anything that we think, say, or do that breaks God's law and makes him sad. One more time, because I know some of the adults can't hear very well. Okay? So let's try it one more time in your best voice. Let's help the adults. Here we go. Ready? Sin is anything we think, say, or do that breaks God's law and makes him sad. Oh, you did a good job. Okay, let me ask you this. If I think something bad about a friend of mine, maybe I never even say anything, but in my mind, I'm thinking bad things about them. Is that a sin? Yes, it is. Yeah, that's a thinking sin. Now, what about this? What if I did something and I'm trying to cover up, so I say something that's not true? Is that a sin? No. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we call that lying. And that's a saying sin. What if there's something that I really, really want that I don't have, and I just take it, but it's not mine? Is that a sin? Yeah, that's stealing. That's right. You know, sin is when we do things my way, not God's way. And Jesus wants us to be with him, but he can't have any sin close to him because he doesn't have sin. He's holy. So I'm going to tell you what he did for you because he loved you so much. Now, you remember what the little boy did? Now, Emily had 5 loaves, so that was really good. This is just 1 loaf. Val made this loaf so I could have something to say, or something for you to say. So thank you, Val. But what did that little boy do? That little boy, he took his lunch, and he said, Jesus, you can have it. Do you know when we give